School holidays, church services and Christmas celebrations will soon bring Queenslanders together en masse. And with the state's borders about to open to all interstate travellers without the need to quarantine, families will be reunited.
Well, it's not much longer.
Sharon Griffiths will see her twin granddaughters for the first time.
I've already got things planned, ready to go. Oh no, I've already imagined I have two in my arms already. They probably won't get them back for a little while.
Early next year, the restrictions on international arrivals will also be lifted once the state hits its 90% double vaccination rate.
When international borders open, if trends go back to pre-COVID times, overseas arrivals will increase from current historic lows to around 80 to 100,000 people per year.
And demographers say many coming to the state could stay.
In net terms, around 30,000 people moved to Queensland from other parts of Australia in the year to March. So that's the highest net inflow into Queensland from other states in almost 20 years.
Queensland had the largest population increase in Australia during the pandemic, up nearly 44,000 people. It's added pressure on an already skyrocketing property market.
Open borders are going to be a net positive for housing demand in southeast Queensland. And chances are we'll continue to see housing prices rising quite swiftly across Queensland into 2022.
That booming property market is a sign Queensland is in the box seat for economic activity.
We've got the benefit of growth, but we've got the challenge of growth.
One challenge is freeing up land for development.
As a government, we need to ensure there's land supply and planning approvals to enable homes to be built.
And with the people will come COVID. To a state that's avoided any major outbreaks for the duration of the pandemic, Queensland has recorded just 7 COVID deaths. And unlike New South Wales, Victoria and the ACT, people here have enjoyed few restrictions and just a handful of lockdowns. Queensland will be one of the few jurisdictions in the world to go from COVID-free to COVID normal. Tavita Ta'ai and his family are giving thanks after a tough year. His unvaccinated brother was very ill with COVID. It's prompted others in his community to get the jab.
He say that he was nearly on his deathbed. He is nearly dead. He's too young, but older than me. But finally, that all his family are vaccinated.
Get vaccinated. That's the best thing. So we can be happy and looking forward for Christmas and New Year's.
Modelling predicts about 200 deaths within the first 90 days at the peak of an outbreak, and about 1,200 cases a day by August next year. And just where that outbreak hits could be a problem.
There's a risk that if there's a large outbreak in a regional area, that the local hospitals will be unable to cope. So there are major challenges that we face in Queensland that are fairly unique to Queensland from an Australia point of view because our state is so regionalised.
There's concern our major hospitals will also be put under strain.
We know that our hospitals are running well over 100% at the moment, and so there's no real capacity to deal with that surge that's anticipated. There's concerns about the emergency departments and a lot of concern around our ICU capacity. What we know from the impact that COVID has had last year in our hospital system was a lot of elective surgeries were cancelled.
The lessons from states living with the virus shows us classrooms are likely to be super spreader environments.
It's children in schools and in kindergartens and the like that are transmitting the infection to each other and then bringing it home and spreading it in the wider community. Rapid testing doesn't necessarily reduce the number of cases, but it reduces the amount of time that children spend away from school.
Associate Professor Selvi says high vaccination rates will be key, especially with more contagious strains of COVID on the horizon.
It's very likely that new strains will continue to emerge in other countries. The variants are most likely to be generated in places with low vaccine coverage, but also high and dense population.
Mum Jackie Markin just hopes Queensland hits the 80% vaccination target soon and new variants don't keep her family apart any longer.
Mum's going to be here as soon as the borders reopen, and it's going to be such a relief to have an extra set of hands to help out.